All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Daniel Sochalski. I am the Speco's Director of National Training. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join me again today. We've had a great following over the past, I guess, year, and I do really appreciate everybody wanting to learn and grow with Speco here. You're going to notice a few things changing. We've kind of, I'm still doing the live webinars. There's going to be a little bit more material included for everybody. This material can also be emailed out to anybody that after the webinar is completed, as well as the video to go along with it. And we're going to really be focusing on some, we've done a lot of the same license plate recognition, facial recognition. We're going to be focusing on Speco's newer platforms. We have the new bridge that's been released. We're going to continue to do the dashboard like we do it because the dashboard is continuing to be updated with new features. Which brings us to today's webinar is going to be Learn with Speco, Speco's analytic overview. Description in this webinar, we will go over Speco's advanced analytics and using our AI, or using of AI. The big questions we're going to cover today is going to be what all is included with Speco's AI platform, what analytics work best in different environments, which analytics require specific special cameras, how do I program analytics in the recorder? And mainly, a big part of it is how do I scrub video using AI? And, usually we stick pretty technical. This is going to be a lot of overview to cover a lot of material, but then we're going to get into a recorder and actually program some AI together. And as always, we'll leave time at the end of the webinar. This should last anywhere from about 45 to 60 minutes. And again, my name is Daniel Sochalski. I'm Speco's Director of National Training. And I'm also excited to announce that we now have two other national trainers on board, Jimmy Pascal and Tim O'Brien. I know a lot of you have had experience with Tim in the past, probably a couple of years, and we're very excited for his knowledge and wealth, as well as Jimmy's knowledge and longevity in the industry. He's been with Speco and Keller for over 20 years. So we're excited to have him into the mix as well. And what this is really going to do for you is we're pumping out a lot more material, standard install guides, basically anything Speco has to offer as far as product or solution. We're going to offer a scalable install guide or a quick start guide with that product and service, which, at the end of the day, we're really hoping to make your installs easier. Once you're getting new products, we're adding an extra layer of support there. So again, today's webinar on Speco Technologies Advanced Analytic Guide. This is something I threw together earlier just to kind of give everybody, I love illustrations, and this is going to be the material that we're covering, and then we're going to get into the live webinar a little bit later on. Now, everything that we are working off of is going to be on the Speco Blue series. That's up to the last slide covered. Table of contents, kind of an introduction into Speco video analytics. What are we going to be covering today on the educational side of it? And with the Speco Blue, we're going to be covering video analytics with Speco Blue as an overview. We're also going to be covering what are the live video monitoring options with the Speco Blue series, and how does that play into our AI platform? And then probably one of the most important things, or one of the most industry important things that we're going to cover today is when we're recording video, how do we start scrubbing video faster? How do we not have to sit there and watch a full day's video, fast forwarding or winding it, but by using the AI platform, we're able to filter through those things like people, vehicles, faces, license plates, identifiers that allow us to be able to really hone in on an object, a person, and provide some investigative evidence there. We're going to talk a little bit about the integrations that are currently to offer using Speco Blue AI, or Speco Blue cameras, but also using our AI platform. And what is making Speco such a hot topic right now in the video monitoring world is, again, we offer a product and a service that doesn't have any additional licensing or recurring fees as far as our AI platform. So we're able to eliminate the precursor problem in video verification, which was motion, right? The ability to be able to accurately detect something. When we're starting to introduce our AI platform into our video monitoring integrations, we're able to cut down on tremendous amounts of false alarms by bypassing motion, moving straight to our AI platform, so that when a vehicle or a person is detected within a certain zone, within a certain time frame, we know the accurate data can go out. And so when we're actually having to respond, our response rate is more accurate with the accuracy of the AI. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some resources as far as, you know, the products and services that we are covering today. I'm going to go on the website and show you how to find out a little bit more. Where did I pull this information from? And again, if anybody has any questions during the webinar, just drop down there to that chat box, ask a question, and I'll answer it live, or I'll see you put it in there, and then I'll get to it as we go. And as an introduction to Speco Video Analytics, we're going to talk a lot about the key components of what make it up, but the wording behind this, and this is also sales material for you dealers out there. All these are things that can be OEM to you, your brand, of why you're selling Speco. But Speco Technologies offers a robust suite of advanced analytics within their security and surveillance solutions, which includes cameras, recorders, and the Speco Blue video management system. This is referring to our Speco Blue VMS platform. And again, we offer a free Speco Blue VMS download on our website. You can do up to 256 cameras. So, you're able to offer the customer a video management system or software that is capable of doing multiple recorders up to 256 cameras free. So there's a lot of value adds that I'm hoping that you take away from today's training. And key analytics, including facial recognition, license plate recognition. You can also include detection, facial detection, license plate detection. Probably the biggest one that's used in the industry today is vehicle and human detection, is the ability to be able to scrub live video feed and specifically start looking for vehicles or humans within a certain environment. And event-based search options like line crossing and object detection. This is something we'll cover more today on the live version. And the Easy Search 2.0 allows quick navigating through video events, enhancing efficiency in incident response. So the Easy Search, you've probably heard lots of Speco reps talk about the Easy Search. It allows you to start breaking down video footage into video clips, just like you'd watch a Netflix. I can fast forward and say, okay, I haven't seen that picture yet, so I haven't seen that part of the show. When you're looking for large areas, that combined with our advanced analytics searching features, it makes scrubbing video footage very efficient. And most importantly, all the tools we're talking about today are NDA compliant and well suited for U.S. government installations, also federally funded projects. Any of those jobs that require NDA compliant products, we have your solution for that. And most importantly, providing options for audio and visual deterrence to prevent incident proactively. A lot of the Speco hype and kick and our sales push is going to be on the digital deterrent line, because Todd Keller and the founders of Speco, really believe that we don't want to be a witness to crime. We want to be a deterrent. We want to be something that is deterring crime instead of just reviewing footage once it happens. So with the release of our digital deterrent, you will notice that Speco was a pioneer in that industry, and then a lot of others follow suit. That's what usually happens, when a great idea comes about, and that's just part of this world we live in, to where everybody's going to get the same products. But, with our product, we were an innovator into the digital deterrent space. We have combined that and multiplied the digital deterrent products. Now we can also pair our cameras with IP speakers, giving you 30-watt bullhorns. So, when it comes to being reactive with the digital deterrent series, we have a solution, whether it's a residential house all the way up to a commercial or industrial type environment. We can put together these solutions that are going to fit any need. And that's what really makes Speco and our analytic platform unique, is that it's able to fit into any environment in the market today. Let's see, I think we had a question come in. So TJ asked the question, will this webinar be available to be viewed later? Yes, it will. And do you offer loitering detection? So Mark will talk a little bit about that when we get into more of the specifics of which analytic am I using for which instance. Great questions, though. So, now this brings us to the Speco Blue Video Analytics overview. Speco Technologies AI platform offers end users an efficient, automated surveillance solution. This is what we talked about briefly earlier. Its advanced analytic, enhanced video review speeds, improved detection capabilities, and enable rapid identification of security issues. making it a valuable tool for maintaining proactive and reliable security. It really hits home when you talk about proactive and reliable security because it goes back to, using our AI platform, using our digital deterrence, using the access control integration, is we're able to be proactive to things that, usually most companies and people are reactive to. I had an incident occur. Now I need to make this implementation. With Speco's platform, with Speco's pricing, it allows you to offer more to that customer, more value for what they might be getting along their line. you know, we're going to cover here briefly this is an overview of the analytics. So what all analytics does the Speco offer? And there's obviously some more on top of this that'll move more into the advanced camera specific analytics. But what we want to talk about here is what's being used in the industry, what's being used in commercial, residential, and all different applications as a whole. And these are them. The face detection. Face detection is triggered when a person is within the camera's frame. You can receive notifications that this analytic has been active. So we're able to detect faces. Face detection is a lot like, of course, using hand grenades. Is I can detect a face 10, 20, 30, 40 feet away. But when we start moving that into recognition, I need a clear, closer face. There's more parameters that are involved in that application. So with line crossing and regional intrusion detection, it's something we'll cover a little bit later on in more detail, but it gives us the ability to be able to draw pinch points, draw areas, regions, intrusion areas, zones that can be triggered. In turn, gives us the people and vehicle detection that are crossing into those regions or zones. People and vehicle counting. This is something that's been used a lot in the commercial space, parking lots. I want to know how many people came to my business today. That allows me to be able to start running some different numbers and say, okay, if I did $5,000 and I had 500 people come in, you do the math. That tells me that I had what $10 a person come in. So you're able to start providing more value to the customer. There's a lot of paid services that'll tell you how many people came into your establishment today. And this is a way that you can use Speco's AI and offer that as a free value add service. Object detection. So we do have object abandonment and object missing within certain cameras that Speco offer. But it is a easy analytic program, but allows you to start tracking whether somebody were to leave a package or to pick up a safe, a box, or something that you did not want to be moved. License plate recognition, this kind of goes hand in hand with license plate detection. So license plate detection, if we're able to detect a license plate, we're able to recognize a license plate. But our LPR cameras, we'll cover a little bit later on which LPR cameras are needed. But it allows you a very robust way to be able to install a camera, use one of our LPRs, be able to detect tags that are coming through, add those tags into a database to start moving towards recognition. Or you can pair those license plate detection or recognitions with, we can put a group together and have a homeowners trigger a gate to open. There's a lot of different applications that you're able to use with our LPR. Also facial recognition. This kind of went what we talked about earlier with the facial detection. Now we have the ability to be able to take a face, add it to a database, and then start having outputs trigger if we see somebody that is in a group we want to have access. Or we can have a stranger come up to the gate and trigger that there's a stranger at the gate, send me an email or send me a push notification that I need to look and see who's there. So the applications are endless. It really boils down to what are your customers' needs or wants. And we realize that all these features, all these things are great, but they're very rarely used in the instance of facial recognition, facial detection. So what we're trying to do during these webinars is to also provide you some different insight. A lot of the commercial clients we're working with in this space where everybody has a camera on the front door. It's just pretty much the most typical camera you'll install in any commercial environment. That way they can get a good image of everybody coming or leaving that store. With Speco Analytics, you're also able to sell that customer, hey, let me turn on facial detection for you. That way, we're going to detect a face of everybody and save an image of everybody's face that walks in. Well, the customer knows anybody that has spent 5, 10, 15 minutes, 2 or 3 hours trying to find somebody, and then pause that image, take your cell phone out, take a picture of the face, or try to crop that video. It becomes cumbersome. And it's little value add services like this with the facial detection. Say, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, I'm already installing this camera on your front door with Speco's platform. It allows me to be able to start detecting and recognizing these faces. And again, we've already talked about people and vehicle detection. These are used in every environment, residential, commercial, industrial. The ability to be able to detect people, to be able to detect vehicles, and then we can start adding certain parameters to say, okay, there's not supposed to be any cars in this parking lot at this time. If you see people or vehicles, notify me. And you'll see as we build into this, this is what's adding a lot of the value with the MX and checked integration is because our platform is pretty stable, 99.9% as far as accuracy of AI, consistency, and on a free platform, it is more than superior to what's out there. But what it allows you to start doing is eliminating a lot of these third party um, go-betweens between a company like MX, between is that, and there's multiple companies that will scrub video footage, whether it's in a motion event and then use its AI. Well, what we're seeing in the industry is a lot of companies dropping these third-party scrubbers because our analytics are consistent enough to be able to provide that for the monitoring station. All right. So live video monitoring with Speco Blue Series, a big part of the customer base is let's make sure that everybody understands once we install that Speco recorder, how is my customer going to be able to A, live stream video, but also B, how is my customer going to be able to utilize this analytic platform amongst all of our Speco platforms? And we'll start off with the Speco Blue VMS. That's the free download on the website. We also have an enterprise version if you need a scaled up solution. But with the Speco Blue VMS Lite, the free download on the website, it allows, whether that's on a Windows or a Mac computer, it allows you to be able to manage, view, and playback and export from your NR and HR series Speco recorders. And again, it's a free download, 256 cameras. I think it's up to 60 sites. So it's very robust for what you can offer that end user that most companies are going to charge you for. So we have the free VMS download. That's not always the go-to unless you have multiple sites. But for dealers that are in the commercial or industrial space, this is a game changer for you. Speco Blue features right in the palm of your hand with the Speco Blue app. It is Speco Technologies' mobile app designed to work with our NR and HR series recorders. It is designed to give the user full access, including live view, playback, and access to Speco's powerful AI platform. With this, it is important to note that not all apps are easy to use. Not all apps fall within the same parameters of the recorder, the VMS, the web browser wording and layout. What's unique about all of our mobile platforms is that they all fall in the same wording. They all are very similar layout from one another, the same coloring. So it gives your customers that comfortable feel that, okay, once I've learned the recorder, the app is just second to none. It's easy to use. But again, the app allows you easy access to all of those AI features, whether you want to search for a person or a vehicle that were at your house, at your business. Excuse me. It is one step away. All right, let me get a drink of water there. All right, so the next option we're going to have is going to connect.specotech.cloud. You can access your recorder from anywhere in the world, from any major browser using Speco's web-based portal. Excuse me, everybody. I'm going to pause this for a second. I've got let me get this back going now. Let's see where am I at. Okay, I apologize, everybody. I've been fighting a cold off the past few days, and I knew that talking this much was going to be a challenge, but I'm going to get a drink of water, and I think we'll be good to go. So again, connect.specotech.cloud. It's how we're going to access the recorder from anywhere in the world using any major web browser. And again, what's also unique about the web-based portal is that it follows the same settings, the same look as the recorder, as the app. So again, once your customer learns one of our platform, pretty much no matter how much they scale up or down, whether they're using the app, the connect.specotech.cloud, they all have the same access to all the analytics. So we're not limited to one platform on all the options in the recorder. So it's very important, when you're selling this to your customer or you're giving them those reasons why. These are some very important features to where if you have a scaled solution, we have the Speco Blue VMS Lite, you have options to all of your free analytics, everything we've talked about today. That's all at your fingertips. With the app, it's easy to download, easy to use. We have training videos with our apps as well too. And also with connect.speakotech.cloud, access it from any web browser, any major web browser, Mozilla, Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Edge. So pretty much all the major browsers, you're going to have easy access. And what makes AI useful in today's industry, and probably one of the most common sales trends that I see across the country, is that people want to know with your system, once it's programmed, if I'm using your AI, what does it help me do? What is each of these same platforms? How is it easier to scrub videos? So this is something we're going to cover live here shortly, but as an overview, we're going to talk about scrubbing recorded video with Speco AI. And with our Speco Blue VMS, we touched on this just briefly ago, that with the search feature, you can easily scrub videos for faces, license plates, or people or vehicles from one location. But what makes a Speco Blue VMS Lite especially useful is that multiple locations there at the end, is that we're able to start cross-referencing. Okay, I found this at one location, let me search across my entire platform. But also from your computer, you'll find that if we have multiple recorders, it's very nice to create custom screens, have everything under one pane of glass, as they say. But again, you have full options to all the analytics, also the ability to program a lot of the analytics with the Speco Blue VMS. With the Speco Blue mobile app, you can view events on a timeline or filter out non-relevant footage to display only AI detections and events. Quickly review a full day's recordings, focusing on key moments in just seconds. So as the image there, you'll see to the right, this is something we'll pull up live, is that with the same target detections that you're seeing up here on the Speco Blue VMS, we have the same target detections on the app, and then also through the connect.speakotech.cloud. The web interface gives the end user full access to the Speco Blue Series AI platform. So no matter what platform you or that customer is using, the ability to be able to scrub video footage quickly is also going to be at their fingertips. See if we had no questions at this moment. That's great. So dialing in responses with Speco AI. And, as we talk about, and we're going to see this stuff live in a recorder, as we start talking about what are we getting, what are we seeing, with vehicle detection, we're able to start getting snap details, right? Like every vehicle that meets the parameters at which I had set. It's things like this that's going to allow us to be able to start having different triggers happen later on. So with vehicle detection, people detection, we're starting to filter out recorded videos, show me people, show me vehicles, and all this is easily programmed in the recorder. Face detection and recognition is the ability to put that same camera we talked about on every entry door, and then start turning on the detection aspect, which allows me in the right parameters to be able to start recognizing faces, to where if somebody stole from me or if somebody left something, I can have an alert next time they were to come in. License plate detection and recognition, like I said, you'll see that we now have the ability to say, okay, that camera you were going to put on your driveway, let's switch that out to an LPR camera. So that way, now we're starting to get plate numbers and vehicle, what does that vehicle look like, plus the entire video, on top of just getting that was a black truck. Sometimes I can see the plate, sometimes I can't. Now I can give you the information to say, well, that was a black truck. It was a black 2500, BFX 9474 was the plate number. Sorry about that. Mute it for a second. Let's go back. And most importantly, as we start talking about the AI platform and all the different things that we can do, we can start programming what you want to happen when the event occurs. You'll find that with the AI platform, the programming is easy. But more importantly is that you have options. When this event occurs, we can attach a schedule to it. We can then start telling the recorder what are the different options that we want to be triggered. Is that a snapshot? A snapshot is going to save that in the recorder. This is what you're seeing up here. All these are snapshots of what triggered that event. Are we going to push a push notification? This is going to push a push notification to whoever has the app. Are we going to trigger a buzzer on the recorder? Are we going to do a pop-up video? So that way, if I have the monitor somewhere here I'm watching live, it'll pop up a video and tell me that event is occurring. Or we're going to send an email. The email is a lot of how you'll see the MX checked integration, a lot of the video verification companies. That's how we're communicating and sending out multiple snapshots for them to be able to respond and get access to that recorder. Go to the next slide here. I think we had a question come in, I saw. I would say, Aaron, we will touch base. I'll get you my email address. Email me this because that's going to take a little bit more communication with DMP to answer that question, but it's great. It's a good question. All right, let's move on. So the big kick today in RMR with companies and being able to add more value for your customer, a market need is video verification. And for those that aren't familiar, video verification is either you have your own monitoring station or you sub out to a third party monitoring station. You set up Speco cameras. Those cameras or the recorder using either MX or Check, the two we're integrated with currently. When events come in, MX is a software provider. Checked is also a software provider as well too. Both of them offer end users or monitoring station solutions that can. All right, let me back up here. I made that really confusing, and I promise. I apologize. MX is a software company that monitoring stations use their software. We are integrated with MX. So when an event pops up, a monitoring station will be using MX software to handle the alarm processing, seeing the live video, making notes, responding, talking down to that camera or through that camera to somebody there, depending on the parameters that are set up with that account. But what I really want to sum the overview up is checked visual. We'll start with checked, right? We have a checked integration. I highlighted two cameras here, two 8 megapixel, the 08TDD2 and the 04BDD2. There are also other cameras that are checked integrated as well. I highlighted these two because it allows for interaction with the lights, the talk down, a lot of features that you want when you're monitoring a site. But with checked visual security combines the power of intelligent video AI systems and alarm monitoring centers to create visual security services. If your property is not secured by checked visual security systems, then it's time for an upgrade. The checked video control panel allows your security companies, this is on the dealer side, to enhance your alarm monitoring services by providing you with real-time remote video monitoring. So Checked offers a solution for dealers to do the monitoring side of that business. There is a residential and there is a commercial application for Checked as well. And then moving to MX, with MX, we have a few cameras that are MX direct, but mainly our whole recorder, the NRE and the NRX series recorder, are MX compatible, and they're fully integrated. So it's not just a patch development. There's a full integration between Speco and between MX. There was a lot of time and effort put into this, but a little bit about MX, the integration, and this is kind of a little bit about the two of us together. The integration of Speco technology in our cloud video management system with MX's platform, whether that's CF or GF, enables users to monitor Speco's video surveillance systems through MX remote monitoring software. The integration allows for a seamless real-time surveillance experience, including essential video like streaming, playback, PTZ control. We did talk about audio transmission, whether that be one-way, two-way audio. And we can also do things like pre-alarm, post-alarm events, recording, relay control. So part of MX's platform is the ability to be able to respond to an event, but also to be able to try to deter that crime before it happens too, right? So, with the digital deterrent line, that's our front line of fence to be able to start deterring crime. With partners like Checked and MX, we now start providing the customer some options to be able to start monitoring those cameras, just like you're making the money from monitoring alarm systems. There's a lot of opportunity out there and a lot of market value in video verification, whether that be one camera, multiple cameras. If you want more information about that, we can reach you out to our channel partners, whether that be with Checked or MX. Um, Definitely reach out to one of your Speco sales reps if this is something that you would like some more information on. All right, so this is part of the learning process and the learning that we're going to be doing with these webinars now. We'll move into live, more of a live feed here on what's happening. But as an overview here, the Speco analytic conclusion is that the overview that I wanted to take you through should have taught you what does Speco offer in the form of analytics, right? We didn't want to dive in too deep. It's just as an overview. Here's the different analytics that you can offer your customer. All of our analytics run off of a free platform. So there's no reoccurring fees, there's no licensing fees. These are direct benefits that you can sell your customer and say, with these cameras, you get this. We covered the different platforms and the different platforms at which your customers are going to be able to scrub video using the AI. That included the mobile app, the Speco Blue VMS Lite, the connect.specotech.cloud. One thing we didn't talk on today was the dashboard. The dashboard is its own webinar, its own huge feature. But the dashboard also allows you now features of turning on and off AI. I want to see the face detections at this site. I want to be able to create a group from the dashboard and then apply this same rule to multiple sites. Same thing with license plates. So as the dashboard becomes more developed, it is your one-stop shop for all of your Speco solutions on the management portal side. So, we have the platforms to deploy to your customers. Now, how do we start taking that platform and managing it? And that's what the dashboard does for you. So if anybody we're going to take about 1 or 2 more minutes, and I'm going to kind of switch gears and get to a live recorder to kind of show you how to program the different analytics. We're going to talk about different use cases. If anybody has any questions about the educational part we just started with, drop it in the chat box. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and kind of get teed up the next portion of the webinar. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right, so we're going to be demoing just a residential. This is my personal N32 NRN, but it allows me to show you very easily the different applications. So when it comes to the AI platform, we're going to go to Start. We're first going to kind of cover a lot of what you saw in there with the intelligent analytics. Is that when I'm searching for these different things, what options do I have and how do I search for them? So you'll see that when we select intelligent analytics, we can select on face, human body, vehicles, or you can do a combination of different types of analytics combined. It's important to note that if I don't have any cameras running face detection or facial recognition, I'm not going to pull anything up. You'll get this no data sign there. But when we have cameras that are running people detection, vehicle detection, whether that's with line crossing, intrusion, regional entry, regional leave, we'll be able to search and filter using the human body and vehicle features. So you can change the date at which you want to be able to search for here. You can select particular cameras that you're looking for. You can change the event of what triggered that event. And then also in beta, we have the ability to be able to use attributes. And like I said, this is still in beta at the moment. but it's showing you kind of what's on the roadmap for Speco, the cameras that we're going to be using. Currently, if you use any of these filters, it's going to show you a lot more than just what you're filtering for. It'll show you the filters, but it's going to show you a whole lot more. And this is something that once it becomes in full release, we'll let you know. But again, it's there it's there for you to use, but it's not 100% at the moment. So if we simply just hit search for human bodies, you're going to see that we're going to start triggering based off of people, vehicles, depending on the settings or who else is in the scene. Uh, you possibly can get dogs. It really depends on what else is in the scene and the sensitivity of the AI. It's something that if you've really been on any of my AI trainings, you'll know that if we want to start getting things like dogs to be triggered, we have to raise the sensitivity of the AI to be able to trigger dogs. If we don't want dogs to be triggering, we lowers the sensitivity. This is something that I'll show you once we get into the programming side of it. But when we search, if I'm wanting to say, okay, who was at my house today or who was at my business today, the whole point of scrubbing video is to be able to say, okay, I didn't have to go to a timeline. I'm just searching for people, all my cameras, and then I can quickly go through and see when you see that I select, it'll show me an individual event that occurred. And then I can easily go through and start filtering based off of what I saw of the people that were at my house today. Now from here, when we start seeing a target, there's a few things you can do. You can go to more and export it. You can go to playback, and playback will take you to that nice timeline. And again, so this was a tracking PTZ here that I have. But when we start looking at timelines, we're going to talk about filtering video. I'm going to zoom in here. You can see that I've got a lot going on. And a way to really show you how I have a lot going on is let me pull 9 cameras up. And you're going to see here that blue is scheduled recording, yellow is motion, and then the AI brain blue is going to be your AI. So when it comes to filtering, just like we're using intelligent analytics previously to search for people, vehicles, even if I'm using the timeline, I can come over here and select and remove scheduled recording. That gets rid of all my scheduled recording and only gives me AI in motion. I can then get rid of motion. And then so now you're going to see that even after all 12 of my cameras, I'm only seeing when AI events happen over here. So this tells me that throughout the day today, here is when AI events occurred based off of each of these little blue hashtags. So I can easily go through and find the event that I was looking for that day. And again, so with vehicles, same exact options as human body. We hit the search option. It's going to show us all the vehicles that pulled in today. And for those, the LPR was also one of them. So you can see that I can select here, and I have an LPR camera we talk a lot about. So this LPR camera will actually open up my gate here. If you're in my database, it'll automatically open up the gate. If not, you need a garage door opener. But you'll see here that we're taking a typical camera that we'd use on an exit. Now we're able to start giving the customer plate numbers. The value in that is, and there's not a big cost difference between, a 4 8 megapixel bullet camera and one of the LPR cameras. But you'll see, even if we didn't have this plate, I could then take that plate and register it. So again, one of the analytics we covered was vehicle, people detection, LPR detections. All these are shown right here in vehicle. We can come to target, event, and start filtering. What are we looking for? Plate detection, successful recognitions. So we can really scrub and take this down easier. And if we don't like the images and we want more based off of a timeline, we can switch either of the detections over to a list that'll show you which camera, what was the time, if there was a plate involved, what was the plate. So if I knew roughly what time I was looking for, I know that real easily I could find the event that I was looking for. Now going back to the programming of the AI, we got about 9 more minutes here, so we can answer some questions. We're going to go to settings, AI and event, AI and event. So first, we're going to talk a few minutes about, you'll see here, line crossing, intrusion, regional entry, regional leave. This is how we're going to program about 90% of our 95% of the analytics we're going to use. So when it comes to line crossing, line crossing is great when we can start taking a certain camera. You'll notice here that when I can create pinch points, let me display all areas. You'll notice that the only two ways you get in this entrance here, I'll do that. Let me draw this other line. Go to. So when I'm drawing lines for line crossing, I want there to be pinch points. There's only two entrances between the edge of this fence here and this fence, and then this edge of this fence and this fence. So I know I've got pinch points that you can't really walk over without tripping my line. You know, I could come in here and even draw one solid line that goes across, or with other cameras, like this camera here, which is my LPR camera. You know, I've got, you can't either get in this ditch or this hill or this fence. You have to come to this point to either walk up to my house or drive. So I know that when I'm using line crossing, it's a very easy, it's hard to get around it, right? But now when I start looking at different types of scenarios, you'll notice the next one we're going to move to is this one right here. When it comes to intrusion zones, we treat intrusion a lot like loitering, because you'll notice that we have regional entry, regional leave. We'll cover those briefly in a moment, but with intrusion, it's important to note that if we're going to use the intrusion AI, the first thing we have to do is enable detection by the IP camera. Once we do that, we set a schedule that we want to be applied to that time. So I can have one that just goes off at night. Now, what's important here is this duration. So the way the intrusion works is that if we look at detection target, so if we have human, motor vehicle, and non-motor vehicle selected, so if a human, a motor vehicle, or a non-motor vehicle are within my parameter settings, right? I can draw one box or four boxes, and you'll notice that I have two vehicles that are sitting here in the line or within the zone. If this is the case, every 3 seconds that these vehicles are here, it is going to trigger what I have selected in the trigger mode, whether that be a snapshot, a push notification, a buzzer, a pop-up video, or email. But it's intrusion we treat a lot like loitering. So the way that I tell people is that if there's going to be vehicles here, it's going to trigger as long, so now it'll do every 20 seconds, right? So we think about a fire zone. If there's an area you actually want to use loitering, highly recommend using intrusion zones, because depending on the schedule and the duration, it will continue to notify, or it'll continue to do the trigger every 10 seconds, depending on what the duration is, when there is a human, a motor vehicle, or a non-motor vehicle within the parameters that you have programmed here. So hopefully everybody understood that. It's very long-winded, but we treat intrusion like loitering. And then we have regional entry, which is exactly what it sounds. So this is a gray area here. If you enter into my parking area here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm going to allow there to be a 10-second delay. And a lot of people say, okay, what's up with the duration? Why a 10-second delay? Why a 3-second delay? I usually keep mine on 3 seconds because it takes a vehicle, 3 seconds to be able to actually get into the intrusion zone. Same thing as a person. If you were trying to detect a person walking through a door, it also, if you're trying to detect a person walking through the door, it takes about 1, 2, 3 seconds for someone to get through a door. I want to treat each person like an event. I want to treat each vehicle like an event. And to do that, we need to kind of match how long it takes for them to breach those parameters. So I want to show off a little tip here. You'll notice when I enabled this and I applied it, I now see the vehicles. If you ever have something that's detecting, if, but what I want to point out is that you'll see this vehicle box actually extends pretty far beyond the vehicle. So this is a great way if I want to make sure I keep parked vehicles out of an area. So now you'll notice that my entry zone, you still have to cross through there, but now it falls with it outside of my box. So these are ways that we can know when a vehicle is parked, work with the programming, see the boxes around what's there. That gives you a little bit of a buffer to where if we were using an intrusion zone for this, I can actually start seeing, okay, I want my intrusion zone. You'll notice when I apply this, these boxes start triggering. So if this was a parked area and I didn't want anybody to come around these vehicles, if I wanted to redo my intrusion zone, I would leave those vehicles boxed. Then I know that if you're parked in those spaces, that this is the average that is not going to be affected. So I know if somebody or people or vehicles are walking or parking in this area that is outside of the range, that's going to help keep down your false alarms. So let's go back to regional entry, which is what I keep this set on anyway. So we're going to box it off a little bit. And notice I'm going to clear that. Always hit this display all areas because I didn't know I had a second box. That's something that'll help. Let's apply that. And then again, you'll notice when we apply it, we start seeing the vehicle detections here. Regional entry. So regional entry is when a person, a vehicle, or a non-motor vehicle enter our zone, right? And it's going to trigger whatever you have the duration on. Now, if those vehicles, those people, or those non-motor vehicles stay in that zone, it's not going to affect it. Only if another vehicle, non-motor vehicle, or person enters the zone again. But your delay is going to be how long is it going to be until that trigger is delayed. So when it comes to regional leave, it is identical to regional entry, but we're going to notify you if somebody leaves. So another good application, I like to use my dog lot. Let's just say that I've got a playground here. This dog lot's a playground or a school ground, and they say we do not want kids jumping over the fence. If they jump over the fence, we want to be notified. So we can start doing things like boxing off the fence, 24/7 parameters. We can lower our duration. Or we could even have multiple intrusion zones and say, okay, now if you get out of that zone, I'm going to box off another zone here for you. All right. So I can start having multiple zones. I could even do a third zone. We're going to use a little imagination, but we're going to start boxing off zones saying if you leave, so if you left this area, you're going to have to leave that area. You're going to have to leave that area to get out. So it allows us multiple ways to be able to trigger as fail safes, as you could say. So when this happens, we're able to change the duration. We're also able to change the trigger mode. What's unique about the AI platform is that whether you're using line crossing, intrusion, regional entry, regional leave, um, everything's the same. You set your parameters, you tell it what you're looking for. Here's where you'll notice that where I have my sensitivity raised a little bit, and some of them I have them lowered. If a customer right at 50, we usually don't detect dogs, right? That's very doesn't happen very often. Excuse me. But if that customer says, hey, I want to know if the neighbor's dog's in my yard, I want to be able to filter if my dog gets out, right? So ways that we can manipulate the AI is if we raise the sensitivity, we're going to get more detections under humans that might not be humans. That's where the dogs can come in, right? I've got llamas, alpacas running around my house and farm, and they don't come in on, all they come in on is motion, right? So our AI is very picky on what it's looking for. Um, but if you wanted to start getting things like dogs, cats, deer, if we raise the sensitivity, we are more sensitive. If we lower the sensitivity, we are less sensitive. So that's how we can start manipulating what we want to get. Like non-motor vehicles, if I wanted to get side by sides, stuff like that, I could start raising the sensitivity to get more under this field. I don't really recommend, I keep this on 50% unless somebody tells me, hey, I'm not detecting this or I'm detecting that. It doesn't happen very often, but there is some wiggle room on how you can kind of adjust the sensitivity in what you're detecting. So as a recap, we've covered the literature behind the AI. We've covered line crossing program, intrusion programming, regional entry, regional leave. We've covered the different platforms at which, and you'll see that I'm recorder direct here. The last thing I want to cover today is, when you see those digital deterrents we're always talking about, how do we work those digital deterrents? We do that in the digital deterrent section of AI and event. Under voice broadcast here, you'll find that any digital deterrent you have on the system here, it'll find it. And then you enable it. It should be enabled by default. If it's not, enable it. You can select between any of the 12 pre-recorded messages here that camera is going to play. If you want to test to see if it's working, you can hit that listen button and it's actually going to make that sound at the other end of it. Or if you don't like any of the messages, you can add your own. We can change the number of times, the volume. We can even put a schedule that says, okay, you're going to run the analytics all the time, but when are we going to, I want to be able to limit when the audio is going to happen. Also, if you're working with audio, right next to it, audio device, we select any camera that has a built-in mic to it or a line level mic will pull up. By default, they're all turned off. So to be able to enable those features, make sure you come to audio device and make sure it's enabled. Select that you're using the built-in mic. Some of the different cameras allow you to be able to adjust the input volume, and if it has two-way audio, you can adjust the output volume. So again, when it comes to digital deterrence or any of your audio needs for your camera, that's going to be done under digital deterrent, voice broadcast, and audio device. So now I want to take some time for questions, comments, concerns. I want to thank everybody that stayed on this webinar today. You know, these are becoming very important and dear to our heart. So I'd like to be able to hear some comments, questions on what can make them better, or what questions you had regarding today's webinar. And just as a whole, I'm going to have our marketing team email out the content for this webinar. So everybody should be getting a copy of, everybody should be getting a copy of A, the material that's in here, but B, will also give you a recording of this webinar via email, and we'll just send that out to everybody that attended this webinar. So now if anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat box, tell me what you like, what we could do better. And again, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we look forward. I got a question here. Yeah, Eric. So I'm going to have the marketing send out I'll send out this PowerPoint that I used, as well as the slide deck as well too in the recording. But for those that are going to hop off, I want to thank everybody for your time today. We really enjoyed doing these webinars. Thank you, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.